in the previous class we have studied, we have gone through the principles of house drainage system, and that was the end of module 1. Okay, so now today we shall start with respect to module 2. Okay, see, module 2 deals with the design of the sewers. Okay, so in the previous sessions we have discussed about how to estimate the wet weather flow and dry weather flow using the different equations and formulas. Okay, so using those quantities we have to check for the velocities, that is self-cleansing velocity and non-scoring velocities. Okay, so in this module we shall design some numerical problems, okay, based on the quantities of wet weather flow and dry weather flow estimations, and there will be hydraulic formula for the velocities, that is Manning's formula, which is mostly used for design of sewers, and we have also some other formulas and the depending upon the pipe and its ratings and the roughness coefficients and all, so we shall discuss. Okay, then what is the effects of variations and velocity and regime velocity, then hydraulic elements of sewer, circular full, of sewers flowing full and partially flow conditions. Okay, so please remember here, so we usually design the sewers for partial flow conditions. So in order to give some space for the gases during the decomposition of the wastewater while it is flowing in the sewer system, so it is better to design the sewers for partial flow conditions. So we shall discuss the hydraulic elements, and there is no derivation for this. So there are certain expressions which has to be used for the circular sewers flowing full and flowing partially flow conditions. Okay, so then after that we shall discuss about, so what is going to happen when you discharge the effluents into the rivers. Okay, so there is a phenomena called as self-purification phenomena, that is when you discharge the wastewater into the rivers, and how to dispose the sewage onto the land, and there is a classic equation developed by the Streeter-Phelps. It is also called as Streeter-Phelps dissolved oxygen model. Okay, so that is nature is having the self-purification phenomena when you discharge any wastewater into a river or a stream. So after certain period of time, so due to the external supply of oxygen to the water bodies, the water gains its dissolved oxygen. Okay, so we shall discuss that also in this module. Okay, so to begin with, so what is this design of sewers? Okay, so design of sewers includes the basic facilities which is to be designed, including the sewers, by maintaining the appropriate velocities in the sewerage flow by estimating the quantities of the wet weather flow and dry weather flow. So we should carefully collect the wet weather flow and dry weather flow and take it to the point of disposal with the help of the sewerage system, which also consists of many sewer appurtenances, which we have discussed in the previous slides. That is, we have manholes, we have catch basins, we have street inlets, then we have the sewers, and again in the sewers we have different types, that is lateral sewers, main sewers, then sewage treatment plants, we have pumping stations. So all those things comprises of the complete set of the sewerage system. Okay, but mostly here we will be discussing about the different kinds of velocities which is developed in the sewers, and the designated values of those velocities, and the check for those velocities using the different equations. Okay, so for everything we have something called as design period. Okay, so design period is the one through which because these sewers are similar to your water supply systems, they are also designed and they are being constructed below the ground. Okay, so we should have certain estimated future design period to which all these structures has to be designed. So usually a 30 years of design period is recommended for the design of sewers. Okay, so whatever the sewers we are planning, and its velocities and its design discharges, it should be projected for next 30 years or minimum of 3 decades for the proper design, because the design period, it depends on the ease and difficulty in expansion, the type of investment we have, then anticipated population growth, and also including shift in the communities, industries and commercial investments, and hydraulic constraints of the systems design and life of the materials and equipments. Considering all these parameters, so the design period is estimated. So that means for the entire sewerage systems, like I told you, we have different components or facilities which becomes a part of the sewerage system, which includes the sewers, manholes, its covers, its pumps, then sewage treatment units like screening, grid chambers, then biological processes, then disinfecting chemicals, and all those things should be considered while designing a design period. And also whatever the material we are using for the sewer, like we have also discussed different types of sewer materials, which includes cast iron, ceramic, UPVC, CPVC, then the DWC kind of pipes and all. So depending upon the material, we have to also decide, it becomes a deciding factor for the sewerage system components. Okay, so for the laterals less than 15 centimeter diameter, it can be considered for full development of the sewerage system, because laterals are very small sewers, which are the starting or beginning point of the sewer system while connecting your house sewer to the inspection chamber with a manhole. Then we have the trunk or main sewers. It should be usually designed for 40 to 50 years, because so they are the end point of the sewerage system and it carries a very large discharge. So a minimum of 4 to 5 decades period is considered for the outfall main or trunk sewers. Okay, so for treatment units, the design period is around 15 to 20 years. That is, the treatment units include the screening chambers, grid chambers, sedimentation tanks, etc. So for that, the design period will be around 15 to 20 years. Okay, then the pumping units are designed for 5 to 10 years, because so pumps are electrical, electromechanical equipments, so they need the replacement as soon as it gets wear and tear, and whenever it is not performing for its full capacity, it has to be replaced. For that reason, the design period is relatively lesser. So on an average, for the complete design of sewerage system, you can take it as 3 decades or 30 years, but individually if you break down for laterals, for treatment units, for pumping units, so these are the design periods. Okay, so then population estimate is done. There are various methods which we have already discussed in the water treatment. That is, so what we do is we will estimate the population for future decades by various methods which we have already studied, and we have worked some numerical problems on that. That is by using arithmetic method, geometrical increase method, then ratio methods, and we have estimated the population. Okay, similar way in this case also we will estimate the future projected population. Okay, so if the data is not available, then we can take the density of population per hectare using the following table. If the size of a town is around up to 5,000 people, then we can take the density of population per hectare as 75 to 150. If it is in the range of 5,000 to 20,000, then we can take it as 150 to 250 per hectare. Okay, so if the size of the town is of 20,000 to 50,000, then we can take the density of population per hectare as 250 to 300. If it is 50,000 to 1 lakh, then 300 to 350. If it is more than 1 lakh, then we can take it as 350 to 1000. So however, this density, it again varies depending upon the type of a city. So this population density is very high for metros, for example in Bangalore and Mumbai, so where there are a lot of commercial establishments and people move out for the job opportunities and other things, depending upon so that thing, this population density has to be estimated. But nevertheless, the most appropriate thing is to collect the data and monitor the population and project it accurately, because so from the very beginning the important part is the estimation of exact population. Okay, so that has to be estimated carefully, because so this based on the population we get the quantity and estimate of the dry weather flow. Okay, so that is very important parameter in deciding. So then we should also think of the area. Okay, so and a key plan. So what are the layout of the buildings, then what is the layout or tributary area which is draining to the sewer section. So this can be measured by using maps, and see nowadays we also have this GIS facilities and all, or you might be also aware of this Google Maps and all, so through which you can demarcate and you can calculate the drainage area, so which is very important for the estimation and calculation of the wet weather flow. Okay, so which is required for the quantity estimation for the design of the sewer system to obtain the discharge. Then per capita sewage flow. Okay, so that is I told you that so we can take around 80 to 85% of the water supplied for the community will come out as the wastewater or sewage. So for that reason the sewers can be designed for a minimum of 150 LPCD of per capita. That is, if the population is 1 lakh, so then we multiply this 1 lakh by 150, then from that quantity we will take the 80%. Okay, so that will be your sewage flow. So for that flow we have to decide the diameter of the sewers. Okay, so we should also consider some of the infiltration and exfiltration losses, so which may come in into picture while designing the sewers. Okay, so it again depends on the workmanship of the laying of the sewer, then type of the soil. Okay, because when you are designing a sewerage system for a very large area, you will come across different types of soil and different types of topography and area and different traffic loading conditions. So considering all those things, we should also take care the account of infiltration and exfiltration, which obviously occurs due to the faulty workmanship and due to overburden pressure and leaks from the sewer to the soil or from the soil to the into the sewer. That is, we have discussed this in the previous slides, that is infiltration and exfiltration, that has also to be taken care. Okay, and usually it is assumed as so 5,000 to 50,000 liters per day per hectare. Okay, and 5,500 to 5,000 liters per day per kilometer of the sewer which is running per centimeter of the diameter. Okay, so then very important parameter here is called as self-cleansing velocity. So what is this self-cleansing velocity? So self-cleansing velocity is the one so through which even if the minimum flow is there in the sewer, in a sewer, the solids should not settle. Okay, so that is called as self-cleansing velocity, because what happens when you take the flow in a we have seen the water distribution curve and also the sewage generation curve. The two peaks will occur, one in the early morning and late evening. Okay, so during that time the flow will be maximum and the solids will not tend to settle. So what happens when the flow becomes low during during non-peak conditions? At that time the velocity starts to decrease. So even in that case the solids should not settle. So that is called as self-cleansing velocity, and it is a function of the specific weight of the solids and also the sewage. So which is considering all those things, so this equation is developed. Okay, so this is called as Stokes equation for the estimation of the velocity. Here it is given by the V is equal to under root 8k divided by F into SS minus S divided by S into G into D. Okay, so this is the self-cleansing velocity equation. So here this K is the characteristic of the solid particles. Okay, so the value of K will be 0.06 for organic and it is 0.04 for inorganic solids, and F is the Darcy's coefficient of friction, it can be taken as 0.03. Okay, so then it is S is the specific gravity of the sewage, which you can take it as 1. Okay, because it is sewage contains almost 99.9% of water, hence we take the value of S as 1, and G is the acceleration due to gravity, and D is the diameter of the particle. Okay, so once you solve one problem on this, so you will come to know the how the velocity is estimated using this equation. Okay, so but remember, this equation is used to estimate the self-cleansing velocity in case of sievers. Okay, so this is also called as minimum velocity. So it is defined as the velocity such as to be maintained in the sievers to cause automatic self-cleansing velocity. So such a velocity is called as self-cleansing velocity. So this velocity should be maintained at least once in a day, so that even if certain deposition takes place during low flow or no flow conditions, then it should not obstruct the free flow of the sewage or wastewater which is flowing into the sewers. Okay, so because the further deposition will lead to the complete blockage of the sewer, so for that reason the self-cleansing velocity has to be maintained in the sewerage system, and it is very important parameter. Okay, so this will show you the self-cleansing velocity illustration. Okay, so the velocity should be such that these solid particles, it should not settle. Okay, so when the sewer is flowing full during peak conditions, it is obvious that, so because of the flow and quantity will be more in the sewer, so these solids will be carried away with the wastewater. But what happens, so due to the low flow conditions, these particles, they tend to slowly settle when the flow and quantity of the wastewater flowing in the sewer is less. Under that circumstances, we should maintain the self-cleansing velocity such that these solid particles should not tend to settle in the sewer. Okay, if these starts to settle and accumulate, then it will reduce the carrying capacity of the sewer, and the further settlement will lead to the permanent blockage of the sewer. For that reason, so we should maintain the self-cleansing velocity, and we should see that these particles should not settle in the sewer, and automatically it should self-clean, and this should be maintained at least once in a day. Okay, so various people have worked, and again like we have discussed, there are so many solid particles, and based on the diameter of the sewage, many people have worked out, and so based on this Badmin-Latham's recommendation, the various self-cleansing velocity can be adopted for different sizes of the sewers. For example, if the sewer size is in the range of 150 to 300 mm, then the minimum self-cleansing velocity to be maintained is 1 meter per second. Okay, so if it is in the range of 300 to 600 mm, then 0.75. If the diameter of the sewer is more, if it is greater than 600 mm, then the self-cleansing velocity of minimum 0.6 meter is to be maintained. Okay, and depending upon the nature of the solid particles, so if it is round pebbles of 12 mm to 25 mm diameter, then self-cleansing velocity should be in the range of 0.5 to 0.6 meter per second. If it is fine gravel, then it should be 0.3 meter per second. If it is coarse sand, then 0.2 meter per second. If angular stones, then 1 meter per second. Fine clay and sand, then it is 0.15. If it is finer, even finer, then it is 0.075. As you can see, if the size of the particle increases, the velocity is also increases. It is for the obvious reason that these smaller particles will have low velocity, so the bigger particles will have little more self-cleansing velocity. Okay, then another important kind of velocity is called as non-scoring velocity. Okay, and so this is also very critical. That is, the sewerage system mainly depends on two important velocities. One is the self-cleansing velocity, which we have discussed earlier, and this non-scoring velocity. This velocity is also called as the limiting velocity. Okay, so why we will have to limit the velocity? Because the sewer along with the organic matter may also contain the sand and grit particles, that is the inorganic solids. Okay, if you maintain very high velocities, then because of the abrasive action of these inorganic grit particles, it may damage the interior surface of the pipe. So for that reason, we should also maintain the maximum or limiting velocity. So that velocity we call it as the non-scoring velocity. That's it. That is, this velocity, it should not be too high, so it will cause the wear of the pipe, the surface of the pipe, and erode the pipe material. So therefore this should be limited to maximum of 3 meter per second. Okay, it is called as non-scoring velocity, or it is also called as limiting velocity. Remember, two important velocities we have talked about. So one is self-cleansing velocity and non-scoring velocity. Okay, so it depends on the again pipe material. Okay, and it will cause the wear and tear of the pipe. Okay, if it is not properly maintained. Okay, so usually it will be in severely high in hilly areas where the slope is steep, and the water will naturally, with the influence of gravity, will flow with a high speed. Then in that case we have to construct this drop manhole to avoid the high velocity. Okay, so as you can see, because this is the interior surface of the sewer which is taken, and there is some chemical agent which is being spread. Okay, so fat, grease and deposits, and this will takes place, and the fats and grease deposits will be starts to deposit, and if these tends to settle at the bottom, and if you have a very high flow into this sewerage, then it will cause the wear and tear of the sewer. So that's why some people have developed some biosol or some kind of chemicals and all to clean the soil and grease deposits, because they tend to settle and they may cause the obstruction. Okay, so this is called as the scoring action. Because of this scoring action, so the pipe material gets slowly deteriorates. It may happen due to inorganic silt material, also due to the fat and grease deposits, because sewage contains many kinds of impurities we have discussed, which includes both organic and inorganic, and also oil and gas. Okay, so then we had the self-cleansing velocities, so we also have some non-scoring velocities depending upon, so this depends upon the material. Okay, so if it is the earthen channels, then the non-scoring velocity will be 60 to 120 centimeter per second. If it is ordinary brick lined sewers, the velocity is 150 to 250 centimeter per second. If it is concrete, then it is 250 to 300 centimeters per second. Okay, if it is stoneware, then it is 300 to 450 centimeter per second. If it is cast iron, it is 350 to 400 centimeter per second. So if it is vitrified clay and glazed tiles, then it is 450 to 500. Okay, so this is the maximum permissible velocities for the different sewers. Okay, as you can see here, note the difference. The values are in centimeter per second. Here you can see the values in meter per second. Okay, this is usually used for solving the numerical problems. Okay, so if there are units which is given in centimeters per second, then you have to convert accordingly, so based on the required discharge in meter cube per second. Then for the cast iron sewer pipe, the maximum permissible velocity is 3.5 to 4.5 meter per second. If it is earthen channel, it should be 0.6 to 1.2. If it is brick sewer, it is 1.5 to 2.5. If it is stoneware, then it is 3 to 4.5. Concrete sewer, it is 2.4 to 3. Okay, so we have seen, because the cast iron as you can see, the inside surface is more smoother, then the permissible velocity is also more. If the inside surface of the pipe is little rough, the permissible velocity is little bit reduced. So this is for the obvious reason that if both the surface are harder, then it will cause more abrasion and the wear and tear will be naturally more. Okay, so as far as possible, we should see and select the material of select the pipe material, so which is smooth in nature. Then we can have some little more the limiting velocity. Okay, so for that we use for the velocities we will use the different formulas. Okay, so this will be also sometimes used in your examination, that what are the different formulas used in the design of sewers, and explain the terms. So out of that, so the first one is called as Chase's formula. It is given by V is equal to capital C under root R into S. Okay, so here V is the velocity of flow in meter per second, R is hydraulic mean depth in meter, so which is given by D by 4 if it is flowing full. Then S is the slope of the sewer or fall of sewer per length, and C is called as Chase's constant. Sometimes the Chase's constant will not be given in the problem, so in that case we have to use the Chase's formula. Okay, using this Cutter's formula to find out the Chase's constant, which is given by C is equal to 23 plus 0.00155 divided by S plus 1 divided by N whole divided by 1 plus 23 plus 0.00155 divided by S n into n divided by under root R. Okay, where n is coefficient of roughness or rugosity coefficient. Okay, here the value of n is given for different types of the sewer material. If it is brick sewer, then it is 0.015. Okay, if it is stoneware, 0.014. If it is cast iron, 0.013. If it is smooth earthen channel, then it is 0.020. Okay, so this is one such empirical formula used in the design of the sewers. It is called as Chassis formula, which is given by V is equal to C into under root RS. Okay, so then the most popular formula, we call it as Manning's formula. It is given by V is equal to 1 by n r to the power of 2 by 3 and s to the power of 2 by half. So where r is again hydraulic mean depth and s is the slope, and n is again Manning's coefficient, for which for different pipe material this Manning's roughness coefficient it varies. So then similarly we have this crimp and Burge's formula. It is given by V is equal to 83.33 r to the power of 2 by 3 and s to the power of half. Okay, where V, R and S have same meaning, and this formula is obtained by putting Manning's coefficient, that is n is equal to 0.012 in Manning's formula. Okay, in the Manning's formula, the Crimps and Burge formula can be obtained by substituting the value of n as 0.012, that is 1 upon 0.012 will work out as 83.33. Okay, similarly we have another formula called as Bazin's formula, which is given by V is equal to 157.6 under root RS divided by 1.81 plus K divided by under root R. So where here K is the Bazin's constant and K is equal to 3.17 for very rough channels, and it is equal to 0.11 for very smooth surfaces. Okay, so based on the data which is given in the numerical problem, so any one of the formulas can be used, but most properly we will use the Manning's formula for obtaining the velocity. Okay, so we also have Hazen-Williams formula, which is given by V is equal to 0.85 C into R to the power of 0.6 and S to the power of 0.54. Okay, so where here C is the constant, okay, and it depends on the type of the pipe material, and R and S are similar, where R is again hydraulic mean depth, okay, and S is the slope. V is the velocity in terms of meter per second. So here you can see the value of C. For stoneware pipes in good conditions it is 110, for new cast iron pipes it is 130, for very smooth surfaces it is 140. So it is the constant which is used in the Hazen-Williams formula. Okay, so based on these formulas, okay, so people have developed something called as nomograms. Okay, so nomograms are the charts, because so every now and then we have to determine the velocity, gradient, slope. So what people have done is using the previous results. Okay, so based on using the Manning's formula, which is very popular in case of design of the sewers, the certain charts are developed. So those charts we call it as nomograms. Okay, so this gives the faster results. Okay, so based on your the values. Okay, and so this is one such example. If the discharge of the sewer for which the value of n is equal to 0.013, that is Manning's coefficient. So this is the particular nomogram chart for which the Manning's coefficient of 0.013. If it is 0.012, there is again different chart. So this is one such example. So here you can see the discharge is given in terms of cubic meter, and the pipe gradient is to be maintained of 0.01. So then we can draw the line between these two, and we can obtain the diameter of the pipe and also the velocity. Okay, as per this thing, so the data which is given, it will indicate that 660 mm here. So this is the value, you can see this is 60, this is 660. So we have this value and this value. So if you draw the line between these two, you will find out the diameter of the pipe as 660 mm. Okay, so then we have also the velocity is 1.4 meter per second. Okay, so this is how we can also use nomograms. Okay, so for getting faster results. Okay, so let us have a small video illustration, okay, for the design of the sewer. Okay, so remember this appropriate flow and the exact quantity estimations are very important in case of design of the sewers, and also we should check that the important velocities, that is self-cleansing velocity and non-scoring velocities, are maintained for proper efficient functioning of the sewerage system. Okay, so we'll stop. Then you can see a video illustration by one of the professors.
Welcome to this video about how to use a nomogram for pipe sizing in a wastewater system. Here you see an example of a nomogram. The way you use it is that you have two known values. You put a straight line through these two lines, and with the intersection of the two other scales you'll find the values you need, either for, it could be pipe sizing you want to find, or it could also be the velocity or the pressure loss per meter. Let's take an example. Let's take example number 1. Here we have a flow velocity of 0.7 meter per second and a flow of 4 liter per second. You mark that on the two scales on the nomogram. You put a straight line through these 2 points, and with the intersection you can see that the pressure loss is 67 Pascal per meter. And the straight line intersect with the pipe inner diameter scale at 79 millimeters. Now let's take example number 2. In this example, we can accept a pressure loss of 300 Pascal per meter in the pipeline, and we would like a flow velocity of max 2 meter per second. When you point these two values out on the nomogram and you put the straight line through the 2 points, we can read the flow to be 20 meter per second, and we need a pipe diameter of 110 millimeters. This was a video about how to use the nomogram for pipe sizing and also reading out the pressure loss in the pipes. There are different ways you can read out these values. Also in our data booklets, for example, the SP data booklet, we have tables where you can read out the pressure loss and the velocity in different pipe sizes. So there are different diagrams and tables you can use for these matters. If you have questions, you're also very welcome to contact me. Thank you.
So credits to professor. So this is how you can calculate the